The idea here is just to look at how we can bring notebook files up into Lumio and or Google Drive. So right off the hop, once you're in Lumio, signed into your Wetaskiwin Regional account, your Google Drive is automatically synced up, and you can see that Visit Google Drive button there, and it will take you to the Lumio folder in Google Drive. So anything that you create within Lumio, so from directly from within this interface, um, gets saved here, and you'll see it when you come to Lumio. All of your Lumio files will show in within the Lumio interface, but they will also be stored in a folder that is naturally created in Google Drive. So for the files that you have saved on your computer or on a flash drive or somewhere else that are notebook files, you can bring those up directly in Lumio. So if on a case-by-case basis, you know you have this file in your computer, you're going to bring it into Lumio to use with your class today, tomorrow, etc. Right within Lumio, you can go to the Add Activities, and then under this first section, you can choose to find some files in your local storage. So that's going to open up my computer storage. It's actually defaulted right to the file that I put my notebook files in. So some pre-organizing if you're planning on mass uploading files or folders into your drive. You may want to do some organization within your computer. So whether you're storing this stuff on the servers on the F drive or you've got it saved right on your classroom computer, just organizing things into folders can help for when you come to upload to Drive. So if you want to do a mass upload, you can actually pull a whole folder up instead of having to do individual files. So that can be handy, and it will even keep folder structure together. So if you had a folder and then within that was nested folders with your notebook lessons organized, when you pull that top level folder up, it will keep the folder structure inside for you too. So that's handy. But right within Lumio, if I go find one and just go ahead and hit open, I'll go through with this process just to showcase that it takes a minute or two. So this one's only got 2 slides on it, and it looks like one didn't even have much of anything on it. So at this first screen, I can decide if I want to import this whole lesson or if I want to just choose some of the pages of that notebook lesson to bring in. I'll actually just untoggle this one to save time. And then once I hit the add button, this is when it's actually taking the notebook file and converting it into a Lumio file. So for the most part, your notebook files, especially if you've been working in the more recent versions of Notebook the last couple of years, everything that you're making in there should come over into Lumio and show here fine. So once it's here, this is in present mode. So that's the same as opening the file on your computer and then using it at the front of the room with the students. You're just opening it through Chrome instead. When I have opened it up like this, I'm actually in edit mode. I just said I'm in present mode. So that's what you are doing in Notebook, but keeping in mind that Lumio actually has the ability to flip this into presentation mode, which actually allows the students to do that Hello Smart and access it if you choose. So you can use the file like this and edit and make changes in front of the class, or you can launch the activity also. We're not going to be launching activities today, just talking about uploading and what we can do with them when they get here. So something I know teachers had pointed out right away, I noticed this one's locked. So it's locking this. It was obviously locked. I'm going to go ahead and unlock it. And you might find that some of the things aren't grouped together, or it has grouped things together that weren't quite the way you put them in Notebook. That's just the difference between the softwares, but you can still move around your interactive items and make changes. This is a whole image. So this would be something that I can't change these words. And this is where case by case, if we have an instance like this and that is a full stop for you, I need to be able to edit these words while I'm up with the students or whatever. It has to be opened in Notebook. Have no fear. Notebook can still be installed on teacher computers. We want people to request it just to eliminate having excessive software installed on computers that's not being used or doesn't need to be there. So as you're pulling things into Lumio, if you're finding it's changing too much, you don't have the access you need to work with that file within Lumio, it is perfectly fine to keep it as a notebook file also. We are highly encouraging people to work on storing things in Google Drive. So even the notebook files can go in Google Drive. And that's just the most secure place to make sure your stuff you'll always be able to have access to it, and it's always going to be there. So our physical computers and our physical servers, those are the ones that we are at risk sometimes of losing things off of. Having stuff in your Google Drive is actually going to help protect it for you too. So that is uploading directly in Lumio. I haven't bookmarked this yet, but it's one that you may want to bookmark. How you're accessing your Lumio files is really a matter of personal preference, whether you go directly to Lumio and access from there, or whether you're managing everything in Drive. Now, of course, you may have lots of notebook files that you want to upload to Drive at once, and I already talked about the folder structure. So within Drive, I've got this Lumio folder right here, which I'm going to go ahead and upload my files to. So the Lumio folder is the one I talked about that is automatically connected to this Lumio interface, so that when I'm on the Lumio homepage, anything that's in that folder is what's appearing here. Now, with that said, I could have notebook /Lumio files stored in any folders in my drive. So you don't have to keep those files in the Lumio folder. If it makes sense to have them organized with your lessons some other way within your Google Drive structure, that's no problem. The only thing that you'll find is until you've opened them one time in Lumio, you wouldn't see them on this screen here. You would actually have to find them in Google Drive and open them this way. So I'm just going to jump into my Lumio folder. And these are all Lumio files. They have the little .sls on the end, and you can see their little light file. They don't look quite like this. So let's get some of those in here and we can see what they look like. I'm going to do a new, and this time I'm actually going to go with a whole folder upload. So I have moved all those notebook files into a folder we were just looking at when I was doing the Lumio upload. So I'm going to hit whole folder upload, and then I'm going to have to just go out. I've got the folder on my desktop, which is a nice, easy place to find it. Pick the folder I want, and then go ahead and hit upload. Google's going to give me an extra warning. Am I sure I want to upload all of these files? Yes, I am. I'm hoping that this isn't going to take a crazy amount of time on my home internet. You should find at the school that this will go quickly. We've got really great speeds on classroom computers that are hardwired in, so you should be able to upload a lot of notebook files in one folder like this without having too much time taking for it or having any implications on the system, slowing things down. So that's going actually not as slow as I expected it to. But I'm just going to leave that uploading, and I'm going to do a search because I know I have a bunch of these in my drive already. So once notebook files upload, they look like this blue page icon, which basically means that Google Drive doesn't automatically understand what they are, but it knows that it's important, so it's not changing the file and it's just leaving it intact. That's why you're able to actually put notebook files in here, and then you could open them still on Smart Notebook on a different computer if you were to download them and not do anything with them and leave them in this format. To open them in Lumio from Drive, this is where we would do a right click on the file and then open with, and then you see that Lumio by Smart pop up. So the Lumio Drive Access actually does know what this file is and recognizes that that's what we want to be opening it with. If I were to double click on one of these files like I wanted to open it, I get this warning telling me Google Drive doesn't really know what this is. We can't preview it. But then you see up top, it has recognized that this is a notebook file and that it can be opened with this application. So if I click open with Lumio, it will take that file. So same as when I'm doing it right within the Lumio application, this can take some time, especially depending on how many pages there are in the file and how complicated those pages are. This is some grade 3 stuff from many moons ago, I think. Oh no, grade 6 base, grade 6 science fingerprints. So this is definitely not something that you want to have to be converting these files right when you want to use them with students, of course. As you can see, this is taking a minute or two, and there that preview has popped up. Once I have done this one time, so I'm going to go ahead, we're going to add all of these. Get the child to turn the TV down. So once it's open in Lumio, the next time I open this file, I shouldn't see that long of a wait for those slides to load. So that had to do with the process of converting them over. And now this one is where I'm going to get that error message. So this caused some people some panic when they were doing a little bit of playing around during or after the session that Janet Bell had done for us. This morning at the bottom pops up and it says editing this text will change some of the features. This isn't much different than if you had made something in Word and you can see warnings like that. It's actually just specifically referring to the font and that the font might not look exactly the same. So even though this sounds scary and it tells me that I might be completely destroying this file, if there was a typo in here and I needed to change it or I needed to somehow edit this text, um, it does not completely reformat and change everything. As you could just see there, the change was really subtle. It was just a slight letter formation change. So that warning is about that, nothing to be worried about. So if you get them in here and it's a pretty basic thing like this can be edited right within Lumio. I don't have to put this back in Notebook to make changes to it. Once it's been converted, it's doing its auto saving, just like the Google stuff up here at up top. So I can always check and make sure that any changes that I have made have been saved. And then beyond this, I can take now these imported lessons and I can continue to add to them. So you could even combine multiple notebook files into one if you wanted, or add some of the other cool activities and things within these pages to spruce the lesson up too. Finishing editing will always take me back to my library and my home page, and then there's those two files that I just uploaded, and then we can see that they now have the start button on them, which puts them into the present mode. And now this is where I'll have access to my pens on the side to write and draw on them, etc. And then this is also where through hellosmart.com and my class code, the students could even follow along on their own version on the Chromebook.